This SmackDown had some devastating news. It was a reminder that even in the scripted fantasy world of pro wrestling, where it seems like you can control the narrative, something unplanned can happen and change it all. Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens is cancelled because Kevin Owens requires a neck surgery. I'm sure if you're a wrestling fan, this absolutely ruined your day. Forget about the match. It always sucks to see a WWE star getting injured. In this case, one of the most talented stars of this generation and somebody that always gave his 100%. Literally every promo was great. The banger track record is off the charts. One of these injuries that will definitely have a big impact on the WWE product. A shitty ass situation for both Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, everybody involved. What makes me worried about this whole situation is that if he can't wrestle one single match, that means the injury is quite serious. Also on SmackDown, the WWE United States Championship match at WrestleMania got revealed while Tiffany's Stratton and Charlotte Flair segment. I said they can't make me possibly more excited about the storyline. I guess I was wrong. What I was also wrong about is CM Punk's favor, which was finally revealed. I had this universe mode type of fantasy that the winner goes on to face Cody and John Cena at WrestleMania. That is not happening. My thought process was what Cody is going to do with John Cena not being there until WrestleMania. You know, I thought maybe he could feud with Punk, Roman, Rollins. That's not the case. The favor was he wants Paul Heyman to be in his corner at WrestleMania, which I gotta say is pretty awesome. Next agenda, next wild ass prediction. Paul Heyman turns on both Roman Reigns and CM Punk and aligns himself with Seth Rollins. I could be totally wrong on this one, and I probably am, but like a typical WWE content creator, I'll take all the credit. If it happens, I'll take all the credit in the world. Let's talk about SmackDown. But I want to start by talking about the sponsor of today's video, Wrestling GM, the best wrestling simulation game out there, where you can fantasy book any real-life situation or match within the game. For example, we all love Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk, so in Wrestling GM, you can actually recreate that. Or you can pick a star and make sure he becomes the next Stone Cold Steve Austin of your universe. You see, in Wrestling GM, you can create your own universe. You can create your own company, wrestlers, championships, and even in-depth characters like managers and commentators. One of the best things about Wrestling GM is that you can upload custom photos and avatars to recreate real-life superstars. And you can even give them custom backstories. So pretty much you can have real wrestlers in Wrestling GM. And as you guys know, being a GM is all about competition. So in Wrestling GM, you compete against AI companies in a viewership war to see who puts on the best show for the fans. People, Wrestling GM is available on the App Store and the Google Play Store, so make sure to download the game right now by using the link in the description below. Welcome back to another SmackDown review. How are you guys doing today? So, pretty wild SmackDown. You know, some ups, some downs, but definitely wild. And like I've said, it finally feels like WrestleMania season. Segments like Tiffany and Charlotte, I know not everyone's cup of tea, but this is how you break the fourth wall. You involve some real-life situations. This way it gets really personal and gets people talking. If you're asking yourself questions, was it planned? Was it not? Did Tiffany cross the line? Good. If you ask these questions, that's great. But the show kicked off with CM Punk. This show was in Chicago, so for the majority of the segment, he just wanted to thank the crowd. He even grabbed the camera. A lot of you deserve a chance because obviously CM Punk is main eventing Mania. He says, I don't deserve it, I earned it. The real work starts now because he has a date at WrestleMania with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, and he promises to beat their asses. Paul Heyman interrupts. CM Punk says, I was about to thank you, but Paul Heyman wants another favor. And the favor is, please tell me what the favor is. CM Punk says, it's going to affect Roman Reigns, so once Roman Reigns arrives here, I'll let you know. The fact that he said it involves Roman Reigns, I kinda had an idea it had to do something with Paul Heyman, and since we already had this prediction that, you know, possibly it's going to be CM Punk saying, I want you to leave Roman and be with me. So I guess at this point we all kinda had an idea what this is all about. Another prediction was, Paul Heyman, make him bring back ice cream bars. We finally got the debut of Rey Fenix. Everybody keeps talking about who's the next Rey Mysterio. Nobody knew it's going to be a guy who was literally called Rey. In all seriousness, there will never be another Rey Mysterio. Ever. I only have one puppy, and his name is Rey. Ray. It seemed pretty random. He was facing Nathan Frazer, one half of the NXT Tag Team Champions. One of the most random matches you could imagine. He's not even facing his SmackDown superstar. I get it though. And the match was really good, so I can't really complain. Very obvious result. Of course, the one that makes sense. Rey Fenix ended up taking the W, and he says, "I am WWE Animal." They had both Penta and Rey Fenix cut the same promo, basically saying, "We're home. This is where we belong. Not the other place." Santos Escobar praises Rey Fenix's debut, and this is the kind of performance he expects from Angel and Berto. They don't seem to agree. Escobar says he'll talk to Nick Aldis to make a match, Rey Fenix versus Berto. So obviously a very predictable route. WWE are going to build this guy just like they did with Penta. So next week, Rey Fenix versus Berto, pretty obvious result, and it seems like this is going to be the rivalry. They'll want him to join Legado del Fantasma, but we all know that ain't gonna happen. I think eventually we will see Penta and Rey Fenix in a tag team, but I kinda like the idea that they're both on different brands right now. You build them as single superstars, and then once they become a tag team again, I think that's gonna be pretty big. We got LA Knight versus Tama Tonga, a match that doesn't really mean much, but LA Knight is in a rivalry against the Bloodline, and I don't mind LA Knight getting some W's before WrestleMania, so pretty okay match, and of course LA Knight takes the W right here. And again, the Bloodline are struggling. We'll talk about it later on the show, but since we all know who LA Knight is going to face at WrestleMania, where does that leave Solo Sikoa? I can't imagine Solo not having a WrestleMania match, as he was one of the biggest stars of 2024 and 25. Whether you like him or not, I mean, he was one of the focal things about SmackDown lately. Okay, why don't we just talk about it? We got Braun Strowman versus Jacob Fatu, #1 contenders match. Winner faces LA Knight at WrestleMania. It's one of these very obvious matches. You're not gonna see Braun Strowman versus LA Knight at WrestleMania, not only because you already seen that last week, but also it's a babyface versus babyface. Nobody really cares about that, and everybody's craving for that Jacob Fatu push. Very good match, by the way. It was a last man standing match, and as you guys know, seeing these gimmick matches on random ass shows of Raw and SmackDown is always entertaining. I appreciate that. You know, this SmackDown wasn't that bad. Finally, you know, there's something really worth talking about, and this was the main event of the show, by the way. But as we're talking about the storyline, let's talk about the storyline. Really enjoyable match, a lot of crazy ass shit. You know, I kinda feel like I underrated this rivalry a little bit. Strowman is doing some great job lately, but Jacob Fatu barely but wins the match. So it's official, LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. And like I've said in my previous video, it's one of these weird cases where I want LA Knight to stay champion, get another W at WrestleMania, but I also crave for that Jacob Fatu push. Push this guy to the moon. So I'm in this pretty weird position. I don't know whether I want Jacob Fatu to win or I want LA Knight to retain more. What really doesn't make sense to me is the fact that Solo doesn't have a match at WrestleMania unless this turns into a multi-man match, which is still really possible. I mean, we have like 2 or 3 weeks left until WrestleMania. Paul Heyman is waiting for Roman Reigns to arrive, and he says, "I don't care what it is, I'm gonna agree with CM Punk, I'll give him the favor." It was Seth Rollins though, and Seth just wants to hear it because he knows Roman Reigns is not gonna be happy about what CM Punk has in mind. It's a conspiracy theory. Tinfoil hat people. I think there is a possibility that Seth Rollins will be with Paul Heyman because Paul Heyman will have enough of the bullshit. You know, you're controlling me, I'm picking Seth frickin' Rollins. The Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair segment was wild. Like a bit of a train wreck in my opinion though, as I love drama, so I loved it. Things got personal. And this is what this storyline needed. It kind of reminds me of Matt Riddle versus Seth Rollins a couple of years ago, where they basically broke the fourth wall, talking about their actual relationships. I love that. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. I do personally, I believe all of it was scripted, and that was the whole point. Make people talk. Who went too far? Obviously, Charlotte was called second to her father, Ric Flair. Nepo baby, and Charlotte is kinda proud of that. At 25 years old, I'm a WWE champion, while at 25, you're drinking in your daddy's basement. Charlotte is not taking any of it seriously. That was the strongest point of the segment when it comes to Charlotte. She was really confident. It's not what she said, but the way she acted towards Tiffany, like she's not even a threat, like a baby talking to me. But Tiffany says Charlotte's WrestleMania record is 4-3, and she's not the queen of shit outside the ring. And when I'll beat you at WrestleMania, you'll be all alone. Just like in real life. What is it? 0-3? And this is where it got personal. I think it was all scripted because then Charlotte responded, "That's why Kaiser is in my DMs." In case you don't really know what this is all about, Charlotte Flair got divorced for the third time, now it was Andrade, so they used that in his storyline. And it's not breaking kayfabe, all of it happened. I like when WWE are doing this, as long as talent are okay with it, obviously. Also mentioning Kaiser, who's a real boyfriend of Tiffany Stratton, that's kinda wild. So now in canon, they're banging. It's officially canonical that Tiffany and Kaiser are doing the dirty work. These past episodes of Raw and SmackDown made me realize again, controversy just simply works. John Cena and Cody Rhodes, amazing promo, using real life, kind of breaking the fourth wall, it worked. Jey Uso Gunter, a lot of blood involving family, it worked. This right here, it worked. The same formula they used on Raw, they used on SmackDown, and really when you think about it, it's all about getting people talking. Drew McIntyre is wearing an eye patch, which is kinda crazy, so yeah, the injury is legitimate. He says no one cares about Priest unless he's feeding off Drew's scraps. But Damien cut a very good promo that actually made a lot of sense. He was called out by Drew McIntyre for costing him the World Championship multiple times, but obviously, like a reasonable person, he understands it was Drew McIntyre's fault for always paying attention to CM Punk rather than the championship matches, and he wants to face him at WrestleMania. Stop playing the victim, you'll be my victim at Mania. It's not too bad, I was really harsh on the storyline, it's not too bad. One thing you need to realize is that it's WrestleMania, I'm gonna care about, just a little bit at least, about every single match. It's the grandest stage of them all, a lot of people. I don't take it that seriously, truly. As a reviewer, it's kind of my job to obviously point out the flaws. At the end of the day, though, I'm a wrestling fan and I just enjoy shit I'm seeing. We got a number one contender tag team match. It's still kind of fascinating to see these TNA guys in the WWE, people who spent the majority of their careers elsewhere and they're a pretty big deal in the WWE. It's certainly a different era. You can feel it in the air. Everybody is a former tag team champion in this match. I'm still confused whether the Street Profits are heels or babyfaces, but the fact that the babyface team won the number one contenders match kinda gives me an idea. Maybe I'm overanalyzing it. Maybe none of it really matters. Are they heels? Are they babyfaces? Maybe it's a different era after all. I asked myself the question during the main segment of the show. Is Roman a face or a heel? I can't even tell anymore. Naomi got attacked before the match by Jade Cargill, but the match still continues and she still ended up taking the W. After the match, we got another brawl and Jade Cargill is obviously standing tall, looking like an absolute badass. She's built different, people, and obviously I really appreciate Naomi's heel work. She did not get a new theme song, but at this point with the WWE's track record of terrible ass shitty fucking music, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing. Every single time, I think somebody got a new theme song during this show as well. Another intro. The Great One. The farmer in the dell. Not everything needs that fucking intro. Nick Aldis announces a match at WrestleMania. Jade versus Naomi. Really happy about that. Especially happy for Naomi, who came back to the WWE and she's been on and off kinda, finally getting that big moment. Her career is kinda fascinating. She started as not a manager, a dancer for Brodus Clay, and look at where she is right now. Really fascinating, really inspiring. Okay, so this was unfortunate. Nick Aldis starts talking about injuries, and I'm like, what is this even about? He calls out Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens cut a real promo, which I didn't understand whether it's real or not, but when he started acting like a babyface and thanking the fans, announcing that he requires a surgery, then I realized, okay, this is not a part of this program and he is legit injured and the match is off. We saw Randy Orton and Randy Orton looked legitimately, sorry for Kevin Owens, and this is a real moment. And Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton got cancelled. I seen a video of Kevin Owens leaving and somebody in the crowd saying you ain't shit, and obviously Kevin Owens got angry. Come on. A lot of piece of shit fans in the wrestling community, man. One of the best fan bases in the world, yet so many pieces of shit. Nick says, well, your match is off, and Randy Orton gives Nick Aldis an RKO. So Kevin Owens needs his surgery, it's out of WWE's hands. That leaves us with Randy Orton. What Randy is going to do at WrestleMania. You can't possibly tell me that Randy is not going to have a match at Mania. And I wonder who's getting that opportunity. Obviously, for anybody, it's a huge opportunity to be in the ring with Randy Orton. And At this point, I can't think of anything. Maybe Solo, not necessarily a match I want to see. There's an idea floating around of Randy Orton versus Nick Aldis, which would actually work and kind of continue the story. Now we could have Randy versus Nick. Nick is a wrestler, obviously. So we could have Randy Orton being pissed off. Like, you took this match away from me and I still wanted to face him at WrestleMania. Obviously, this is just a theory and maybe Nick Aldis is a retired pro wrestler. I don't know about that. I'm just throwing ideas right here. We don't have that much time left until Mania to build a completely new rivalry. But not having both Sheamus and Randy Orton at WrestleMania, it is kind of a bummer. So hopefully they'll find something for Randy. And of course, the main segment of the show was the announcement of The Favor. Everybody has so much chemistry. I can only imagine how great the actual match is going to be. You know, Roman is not taking any of it seriously. He's not afraid. Seth Rollins is just a spectator. And CM Punk talks about, you know, way back, y'all know the story about how it was Paul Heyman who got CM Punk, well, not fired by the WWE because he actually believed in CM Punk. And the story was, one day we'll show them. Well, they're not here anymore, so we'll show Roman Reigns. I want you to be in my corner. And Roman Reigns is not taking any of it seriously. He's not gonna do that. He's laughing. Tell him, Paul. Paul Heyman is crying. What, you crying, little bitch? What, you crying? Tell him. I can't do that, my tribal chief. And Roman Reigns, again, was acting like a heel until he got attacked by CM Punk. So now we know The Favor. I love the fact there's a lot of lore in this. You know, basically, if you watch any old WWE footage, any old CM Punk interview, or a documentary or whatever, it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense, and the fact that he gets to main event WrestleMania with Paul Heyman on his side, making an entrance with Paul Heyman in the main event of Mania, that is a story in itself. And I know a lot of people probably thought, well, The Favor wasn't that big of a deal. And I get that. I understand it wasn't anything groundbreaking, but it creates another layer in the story. Now Roman Reigns has nobody. And since this is the main event of Night 1 WrestleMania, you can also expect some kind of a twist. We don't necessarily even need that, but it's possible. So people, that was your Friday Night SmackDown. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, the great one, peace, love, and hugs. It's been a pleasure.